Good morning, everyone. This is the Office of Consumer Credit Commissioners stakeholder meeting to discuss the rule review for residential mortgage loan originators, or RMLOs. My name is Matt Nance, and I'm the OCCC's Deputy General Counsel, and I'm joined by several other members of the OCCC staff, including Commissioner Leslie Pettyjohn, Director of Licensing and Finance Moran Diamond, Licensing Team Lead Kenesha Daniels, and Senior Paralegal Ginger Harmon, who's acting as our meeting organizer. We're holding this meeting through an online webinar, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. Getting input from stakeholders is a really important part of our rulemaking process, and these meetings help us make sure we can get the best input to produce the best rules possible. Our webinar platform is GoToWebinar. Some people might be listening on your phone, some may be watching on computers, and some may be doing both. For those watching on a computer, there's a questions window where you can submit questions to staff. And if you have technical questions about using the webinar, you can type them and Ginger will try to answer those. We're discussing a pre-comment draft of rule amendments that's available on the OCCC's webpage for recent and upcoming rules. And on that webpage, you can see the draft rules by clicking the link for RMLO rule review. If you have any comments on the rule amendments, you can type those in at any time, and I'll be getting to those. And if you're on a computer with a mic, there's a function allowing you to raise your hand, and then we can let you make a comment verbally. We're talking about rule amendments that come out of a process called rule review. The Texas Government Code requires state agencies to review their rules every 4 years to make sure the rules should still exist and make any necessary updates. And when we do that, we try to get input from stakeholders on whether the rules should be updated. The rules governing RMLOs licensed by the OCCC are in Title VII, Chapter 2 of the Texas Administrative Code, and that's the chapter currently up for review. So I'd first like to summarize the rules and then lay out the proposed timeline for the rules, and then you'll have a chance to provide comments. In this draft, we have 2 different sections with proposed rule changes coming out of rule review. First, in section 2.106, we'd specify that the OCCC will receive criminal history information about RMLO applicants through the NMLS system. That's a clarifying change since NMLS gathers information from the FBI, and when our licensing staff views the information, it's through NMLS. And in section 2.202, we'd specify that RMLOs must notify the OCCC of changes to certain contact information within 30 days. And that it's a best practice to regularly review their contact information. The current rule already requires notifying the OCCC of these changes, but doesn't specify a deadline. So this 30-day deadline would be consistent with what the OCCC uses for our other licensed areas. So that's the summary of the draft amendments, and here's a proposed timeline for the rule amendments. You can see that we're requesting informal pre-comments by next Tuesday, March 29th, and we intend to propose the amendments at the Finance Commission's April 22nd meeting. There will be an official comment period during the month of May. We'd present the rules for adoption at the Finance Commission's June meeting, and the rules would be effective in early July. This is, of course, just a tentative timeline, and all of this is subject to the Finance Commission's approval of the rules. So with that, I have summarized the rule action, and I'll open things up to comments on the rule amendments. Again, there are 2 ways to provide your feedback through this webinar. You can type out your comment and send it to us through the webinar's question feature, or if you're on a computer with a mic, there should be a function allowing you to raise your hand. And if you have a longer written question, feel free to type a quick message into the question field and go to webinar explaining that you have a longer message. So Ginger, do we have any written questions or comments through the webinar?
No, we don't have any questions or hand raises at this time.
Okay, well, I will wait 1 minute or so just to make sure there are no comments or questions before we move on.
We don't have any questions or hand raises at this time.
Okay. Yep, don't see any questions or hand raises, so I will complete our presentation. Well, I would like to thank everyone for joining us. Rule updates are available on our website, and we will be posting the audio of this meeting. We will accept written pre-comments on these rules until 5:00 p.m. on next Tuesday, March 29th. Please email those to me at rule.comments@occc.texas.gov, which is our email address for rule comments. Thank you everyone for attending. Please be safe out there, and we will see you next time. Thank you.